And when her masters saw that the hope of their gains was gone, what do you think they said? "Oh, thank you, Paul, for helping our servant." No, they said, they caught Paul and Silas and drew them to the marketplace, to the rulers, and brought them to the magistrates, saying, "These men, being Jews, do exceedingly trouble our city. And they teach customs which are not lawful for us to receive, neither observe, being Romans." And the multitude rose up together against them, and the magistrates rent off their clothes, and commanded to beat them. You remember, this is some of the things he talked about. Remember the beatings he talked about? These are some of the things suffering for this because of this messenger of Satan sent to torment him and to buffet him. Teaching customs which are not lawful for us to receive, neither to observe, being Romans. The multitude, let's see, I read that, rose up and together against them, and the magistrates rent off their clothes and commanded to beat them. And when they had laid many stripes upon them, they cast them into prison, charging the jailer to keep them safely. And having received such a charge, he thrust them into the inner prison and made their feet fast in the stocks. Now this is just about as bad as it could get. Not only have they, let's see, what all happened here? They got hauled before the authorities and they beat them and they threw them into prison. Not only that, but it says they're in the inner prison, not just the prison, but the inner prison, beaten. Now their feet are in stocks, in these wooden braces holding their feet. And you might think, how can it get any worse? This is about as bad a condition, as you can get in. And you might think most people how would most people react to this situation? Well, let's see, you could react with anger. You could be mad at them. I'll show them, they can't treat me this way. Or you could react with self-pity and say, what did I ever do to deserve this? Oh God, here I've tried to serve you and I'm preaching your gospel and why did you let this happen? You could have all kinds of reactions. But remember, Paul said, I learned something. This is what I want to convey to us today. Paul said, I learned how to call upon the strength of Christ in my weakness. Now, wouldn't you agree that he's in a situation here that shows him to be weak? You can't get much more helpless than this. He said, I have learned how to face these kind of situations. I can do all things through Christ, which strengthens me. Verse 25 says, at midnight. It's very interesting. Not only are their feet in the stocks and they're beaten, now it's midnight. The darkest part of the cycle. At midnight, here's what he did. This is very simple now, and sometimes I think we miss the simplicity of this. Here's how Paul faced this. Here's how he drew upon the strength of Christ in recognizing his own weakness. It said this is very simple. He prayed and sang praises to God, and the prisoners heard them. You know what he did? It's all almost as though he just dismissed the situation and looked up to God and said, well, I might as well just praise you. I might as well just praise you. Now, it doesn't tell us what he prayed. I don't know what he prayed, but trying to project myself into the situation, here's how I might think he might pray. Keeping in mind everything we just read, okay? Remember the thing, and he said, I learned some things. Here's what I think he might have prayed. He might have said, God, you know that I'm in a helpless situation here. You know that I'm weak and I can't do anything about this, and I'm just throwing up my hands saying, I'm weak, but you're strong. Remember, he said, Christ strengthens me. I will take pleasure in my infirmities because the strength or the power of Christ rests upon me. I think he might have prayed like this. He said, you know I'm weak, you know I'm helpless, you know I can't do anything about this, but I know you're strong, and I know you can do something about this. You see, you could easily fall into kind of a self-pitying mode, but I think he looked beyond this. Not only just said, I'm weak, but he said, I recognize that you're strong. And not only saying, I can't do anything about this, but going beyond that, saying, you can do something about it. You see, a lot of things are beyond our grasp, but they're not beyond his grasp. I think that's what he did. And I think then after he said his piece and recognized that about the Lord, I think he just started praising him. I just want to, I got nothing else to do here. Might as well just praise you, I think that's not a bad solution to things. Let's go on reading. What happened when he did that? Suddenly there was a great earthquake, so that the foundations of the prison were shaken. And immediately all the doors were opened, and everyone's bands were loosed. Now God sent an earthquake. Now you and I are not going to be in prison probably. We're not going to have our feet in the stocks probably. We're not going to be in a physical prison where God needs to come and open a physical prison and shake the foundations of the prison. But we face a lot of things that are just about as bad in our own lives. But listen, when you rely on His strength, when you forget it and recognize that you can't do it and look up to Him, He's able to go and listen. He shook the foundations of the prison. He can not just deal with the detail. He'll go to the foundations to shake up the very foundations of whatever it is we're facing. I think that's really good. Might as well finish this. And the keeper of the prison, waking out of sleep, seeing the prison doors open, he drew out his sword, and he would have killed himself, supposing the prisoners had fled. But Paul cried with a loud voice, saying, "Do thyself no harm, for we are all here." Then he called for a light, and he sprang in and came trembling, that is the jailer, and fell down before Paul and Silas. And he brought them out, and he said, "Sirs, what must I do to be saved?" It's very interesting, the question that he asks here. I assume that this jailer knew what they were in prison for. He probably knew that they were in prison because they were preaching about Jesus. And it says, when Paul prayed and sang praises to God with Silas, the prisoners heard them. I imagine maybe the jailer heard them too. I think probably he knew what it was they were all about, and he certainly heard them pray and sing praises to God. And when this remarkable earthquake happened, he came to them and he recognizes, and he was going to kill himself because the Romans would have done worse to him. He recognizes his own need of salvation, evidently. And his question is, "Sirs, what must I do to be saved?" And I think this is wonderful to read what Paul's answer is in the face of a very blunt and appointed question. Notice how simple this is in verse 31. When the man says, "What must I do to be saved?" he said, "Believe on the Lord Jesus Christ and you'll be saved in your house." Notice how simple that is. Notice no add-ons, nothing extra. There's a long, sit down and be comfortable because I've got to explain this to you. And it's going to take a lot of work on your part. And you may never be sure that you've got there. No, it's very simple. Very straightforward. Jesus can do it. See, that's it. Believe on the Lord Jesus Christ and you'll be saved. I think he had this thought in his mind because he probably just had that in his own situation. He needed saved, not in the sense of I need to get saved from a sinner to a Christian. He needed salvation in the sense of deliverance from the situation he was in. And he only had one place to turn. That was Jesus Christ. Not anything fancy or extra. He just said he prayed and sang praises to God. And he found out that God was enough for him. Well, see, what I think is God's enough for us too. Don't you think that? What we need to learn from Paul is what he said he learned. How to face any situation and be independent of those circumstances. That is to recognize that I can face anything through Christ that strengthens me. And furthermore, to recognize that I need His strength because I don't have what it takes in me, but I'm not ashamed to just turn to Him and say, "I don't have it, but you do. I can't do it, but you can. I can't fix it, but you can." You know, I turn to that many, many times, facing in situations I just think, I don't know what to say, but I just trust that Jesus knows what to do about it. Let's all stand up today.
Jesus is my